I am Praveen Kumar, science subject teacher for class 9th. In this section of video, we are talking about the chapter motion, first chapter of physics, and the graphical question and the description of graph like distance time graph. First, we have to explain. The graph is pictorial representation of two physical variables or quantities recorded by an experiment, and the graph, that the horizontal line, that is x-axis, and the vertical line are y-axis, and the point of intersection of x and y-axis is known as origin. There are two type of variable. First, that is the time dependent variant and independent variables. The time dependent or dependent variables are plotted on x-axis and y-axis, and non-dependent or at y-axis. And the change in position of an object with the time can be represented on the distance time graph, and time is taken along the x-axis and the distance is taken along the y-axis. In this graph we have show that is y-axis taking distance and the time at x-axis, and the graph representing the motion of an object which is started from origin, the point of origin, a reference point. And in this graph there is a three section: first, second, and third. O to A to B, and B to C. And the OA part in the graph, object is moving with a uniform speed, so A part is show the uniform motion, and the AB part in a graph is parallel to the time axis, so object at a rest from the time 4 to 12 seconds. Because is this time interval, the position of object do not change with to time. The line parallel to x-axis represent the rest period. The BC part in a graph, the distance from the origin position is decreasing, so that part show motion in opposite direction. This part is also linear, so the speed is uniform. And the next point, the slope of distance time graph gives speed. And the slope of graph, that is 0 to 4 second slope, that is change in y-axis upon change in x-axis. Change is final minus initial, that is 15 minus 0. There the initial value at 0 and final value at 4 second, that is 15. So change is 15 minus 0, 4 minus 0, that is 3.75, and this value is value of speed, because this graph is between the distance and time. So the speed of object is 3.75 meter per second from the time interval 0 to 4 seconds. For the next time interval like 4 to 12 second, the slope of graph with the change in y-axis and change in x-axis, that is 15 minus 15 and 12 minus 4, because this time interval the position of object will be same and the speed is 0 meter per second, and speed of object from 12 to 16 second. Taking the formula, change 0 minus 15, 16 minus 12, that is minus 3.75 meter per second, and this negative sign indicated that the object move in opposite direction. We are discussing subgraph when this graph is drawn between distance and time, and the graph is parallel to x-axis, that is time axis. That means object do not move with respect to time. The body is in rest. In this graph it is passing from origin, and at initial time t equal to 0 the body do not move, it is displacement or distance is 0, and the graph is started from origin straight line and inclined to the time axis. In the next graph it is started from y-axis above origin at t is equal to 0, distance is not 0, yani that means object not at a origin, and the graph is straight line but not passing through origin, and the object cover initial distance before motion. We are talking about distance time graph for non-uniform motion, and this graph is curve. You have to see the position O to P when the body performing non-uniform motion. The graph between distance and time, it is curve. If the body is moving with a variable speed, graph is curve, and speed at any instant and can be found by the finding the slope or the tangent draw on the curve at that instant. That the 2 point, that is P, we have drawing perpendicular at x-axis, that the time axis, and distance axis we have know their final position, and this is the initial position, that is Q, and drawing the perpendicular at time and distance axis we found the initial position of that body. This speed is called instantaneous speed for at instant time, and speed equal to change in y-axis upon change in x-axis, that for the slope of PQ and AB, and the distance at P minus distance at Q, and the time at B and time at A. In the same graph, if we have to the find average speed between the two position of journey, then draw the perpendicular and from P and Q on the axis of time and distance we have already told you. Comparison of speed of two bodies and distance time graph. There two graph, that is point OA and OB, and their slope is theta 1 and theta 2. In distance time graph, the slope of a graph represented the speed of the object or body. If a slope is more, then the speed will be more. Slope of OA graph and slope of OB graph. Slope is the tangent for the graph, that is change in x-axis upon y-axis. For OA, that is AC upon OC, and for graph OB, that is BC upon OC, dividing theta 1 oblique theta 2, and equation first divided by equation second. We have solving the values and reversing the order, that theta 2 upon theta 1, BC upon AC, and BC is the greater than AC, so the slope of second body is greater than slope of first, and the slope give directly the speed of the object. So it is clear that the speed of second object is greater than first one.